SDG number 17 talks about partnerships, that for us to achieve everything that we plan for Agenda 2030, we must work together, both the public, the private sector as well, and the development arm, and the communities being at the center of the change that we desire. And we reached out to Kenya Law to initiate a conversation on how then can we work together with them for capacity building and for them to do the work they know best. In the process of discussion, we found out they were also looking forward for partnerships so that they can go down, and there were also challenges they are experiencing regarding what happens in the counties when they compare with what happens at the national level, particularly the National Assembly. And so this MOU today that we are signing with Kenya Law is geared towards strategic collaboration in terms of enhancing effective implementation of policies and laws in this country in both levels, at the national and at the county levels, and bringing on board diverse partners because we cannot work alone. And what we've done as ForumCiv, through the support from the Swedish Embassy here in Nairobi, we have another program, not the one that was anchored for this discussion, and therefore we lifted the discussion and signing of MOU to the We have these partners here today. Organizations called CREW also works on matters of policy. CREW, you can stand up and be seen. Kwacha Africa from Mombasa, and they have work in Kilifi. Kilifi Citizen Forum, and the Twaweza Communication. So what we are going to do in this initial process is basically to work also with the partners that we have given funding in different counties. So it is not only for Nakuru and Narok that is going to be the starting point, but together with where they are having the operations in this country on different topics, all the things that they are handling, from health, productive health and rights, to environment, and other aspects as well. So we are really excited and looking forward for this formalization of the process. And as ForumCiv, together we will work to ensure we have a just and sustainable world where everyone has power to effect change. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Obari. We've heard why we are here. Now we want to hear from the next speaker, who is Ms. Anna Stenwick-Cal. I tried. Who will tell us the role of ForumCiv from a global perspective, even as we are talking about the counties. Welcome.
Thank you. And also, great thank you for actually trying to pronounce my surname. Not many dare to do that. Well done. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. And by this, I would like to say that all protocols are observed. My name is Anna Stenwick-Cal, and I'm the Secretary General of ForumCiv. That is the largest platform in Sweden with over 200 member organizations. And we are all together working for a sustainable world where all people can affect change. I'm very, very happy to be here today, and I had the opportunity to be in Navasha for 2 days to be in a knowledge sharing forum where we, all of us over there, I think there were about 60 or 70 people, had the opportunity to learn more and to listen to the partners about what these partnerships within PPDP had actually meant for them, lessons learned, and results achieved, and impact. And this was very, very interesting. And this project has been going on for 5 years and has made all these results. And to have this opportunity to meet both with civil society organizations, public representatives, and also private representatives, and these sectors, that was very, very good. And in my work, my daily work, I represent a lot. I'm numerous meetings. I'm meeting other NGOs back in Sweden. I meet politicians, I meet stakeholders, and I will for sure share all these valuable experiences when coming home. Because what PPDP is all about is partnership, and this is also why we're here today. And what they said also when they were sharing these two days was also that this unique thing with all sectors are coming together to one common goal. And that means there is no hidden agenda. There's transparency. And everyone has ownership of what is being done. And that's also something that's very, very good. We need also, of course, in the continuous when we're working with PPDP, but also in this partnership we're now going to sign up for, to have environmental challenges and climate change as a baseline of everything we do, because this is, of course, a very, very important thing. ForumCiv has also signed another memorandum of understanding, and that was with the Strathmore University. And that's another sector that is very important to collaborate with. And now today we will take a next step by signing this together with you at Camp level. And as this is a very strategic, important partnership with you, we are able to provide for a model how civil society can partner with public sector towards an efficient and effective public policy framework. And we will then use Nakuru and Narok counties as a starting point. And I was very happy also to meet you, governors, and when we were in Naivasha to speak more about these things. But to be able to build upon PPDP with this cooperation, it is very relevant that we start off with just cooperation. To use the rights-based approach and the collaborative partnership approach is right in line with also the priorities as a whole as we have as ForumCiv. We have, as I just touched upon, numerous and very big challenges in the world today, and that demands of all of us to find new ways of working. And it also demands of us to work together. And the time for working in silos, that's over. The now and the future are partnerships. I'm very, very proud, therefore, to be here today and in a minute or in some hours sign this memorandum of understanding where we will formalize the partnership between ForumCiv and Camp. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Professor Mwimali and Mr. Barry told us why we are here. Ms. Anna told us what we are doing here today. And now we're going to listen to a short video for 5 minutes that will speak to us how ForumCiv does the work. They will showcase the engagements that they do in just about 5 minutes.
Kwa majina naitwa Mary Mzongwe. Mimi ni facilitator wa wasaidizi. Hatukuwa na nafasi ya kuuzia wakina mama wakutanane kama vikundi waongee mambo yao bila kujulisha wasaidizi. Mama hawezi akauza ng'ombe, hawezi akauza mahindi kama hii. Kwanza nisema kwa hii media yetu, hatuna makazi tunafanya, tunabaki majumbani, tunashughulika kushunga na kupeleka mbuzi ama ng'ombe kwa maji. Tunakaa kwa kijiji kama hapa. Kwangu tujui tukisanyanyika ni nini hasa tutaweza kufanya, kwa sababu hatukujua haki yetu.
Kwa hiyo kubwa itakuwa harusi kisha mwingine ajaribu kuherufi kubwa.
Tumepata elimu inaitwa masomo ya watu wazima. Wakina mama wakajiunga na baraza, tukakuwa tumeelimishwa, tunapata majibu, tulipata madini kutoka kwa hii kampuni ya DDP kwa hii mradi. Sasa tulipewa kupata nafasi ya kuingia kwa hiyo vibali na tukapata nafasi ya kupewa kwenda kwa biashara. Tukienda hii biashara yangu, najua kupaje, najua kuweka akiba yangu ya kufanya hii kazi yangu. Tulisanyanyika kama group ya wakina mama, tukaanza kutengeneza sisi inaitwa restaurant, mama pia na mzuri ama 100 kwa kila mama. Kila Alhamisi tukitoka kwa soko tusanye pesa, kila mtu akuja na mia, tukisanya tujue ni ngapi. Hii mia tutakia mama fulani. Siku ya soko akikuja Alhamisi ingine atatuletea hiyo pesa, tutaweka kwa kila 100 20. Akija hiyo ndio faida, atuletee hiyo pesa apatie ule mama mwingine. Nikamwambia ninataka leo nikamue ng'ombe ya mama, na saa hizi mbele ya Mwenyezi Mungu kwa hiyo yetu ni shandugu ndio na mama. Kati tulikaa na wao ikiwa facilitator, tukaambia naye mama ako na uwezo ya kuleta pesa kulipisha kwa boma ya kusomesha ama ya chakula. Tukapata nafasi sana kubwa kabisa. Kila mama anaenda biashara yake, tulileta biashara na ameingia na mapato yake. Tukuta kama boma kama zile siko pale, tulianza tu juzi kujenga manyumba, akina mama wanajenga kubadilisha. Sasa tukai vile sasa kama wewe unasema unachunga boma, sasa nyingine kwa ile boma kwa saa hii tukiwa facilitator, nimekuwa msaada kubwa kwa akina mama, kwa sababu mimi tukienda kwa mabaraza hasa wakikaa akasema watu mimi vizuri, nikiongea naongelea nafasi ya akina mama. Mpaka kwa saa hii kuna wakina mama wanaweza kuongea na wanaweza kujitetea mbele ya hii jamii yetu. Kwa hivyo ningehimiza wakina mama waamuke, wachukue nafasi ya mbele, wapiganie uhaki yao kwa Kenya na wachukue nafasi bora kutafuta uongozi. Hata wale wanatobolewa masikio, kichwa itatobolewa.
How you see people from the communities doing that. Our next two speakers will be letting us know who is involved in all these activities. So the next speaker is Ms. Annika, who is the head of section for the Kenya Development Corporation. Welcome, Ms. Annika.
Thank you for inviting us to this very interesting meeting. And I was just thinking of if I should do a little bit of dancing as my colleague Sena did in Nakuru. But I said, no, now we are in Nairobi, we have to behave. But when we go to Nairobi and Nakuru, then that's when we will start with the outings. So excellent being here. And I want to share a little bit of my own experiences from this field. When I started working with development cooperation, I was actually in an environmental organization. Sweden joined the EU, and everybody was wondering, oh my God, what are we going to do? We have all these EU policies, legislative framework, we have the Swedish politics, we have local level, and especially at the local level, Swedes were very reluctant, to think of this whole new system of the EU, very complicated. So what we did, we engaged heavily in understanding, together with our development partners, the Swedish churches and the ForumCiv and the environmental organizations in Brussels, to understand what does this new legislative framework mean to us in Sweden. How do we need to change the way we understand policies, legislation, and how do we have to change perhaps some of the legislation that we have? And to do all this, of course, people now in Sweden, they were very worried about how are we going to, engage. We don't know what the EU politics are, the legislation is. How will we involve ourselves? And to Swedes, it has been so important always for such a long time to be, we want to be informed, we want to participate, we want to have a strong civil society, and we want to raise our voices. But to do that, you need to be trained, you need to know your rights, you need to have a good understanding of what is it that they're talking about in that parliament in Brussels or in the council. And I think it's the same here in Kenya, that now with the devolution, you have a lot of people perhaps in Nairobi understanding, hopefully, at least at the government level and in the legal institutions, what the laws are. How does legislation work? How do you transform it into practice? How do you follow up upon new legislation? How do you involve civil society and the people in this transformation if you want to improve things? And I think if you then now with the devoluted system, you have a lot of new people at county level. You have people living in the counties. They want to be part of this transformation. I mean, the governors, of course, they want to be on top of things. But even the civil society and other institutions in the countries, they want to understand at first, what on earth have they decided in Nairobi now, which has a direct impact on us here? Or what are the international conventions that somebody signed off to as well, that also will have a direct impact on us and the way we work, the budget we need, and the people that we are supposed to be, taking care of in our counties. And I think that ForumCiv, with the work that ForumCiv is doing across the world that I am pretty familiar with, I think they form part of a system where you increase the capacity of citizens, of organizations at the local level, at the regional level and the national level to understand what are my rights, what are our rights, but also what are our duties. How do we manage to comply with the legislation that now is in our country or at our country level? And I think in a country such as Kenya with more than 50 million people, in a couple of years perhaps tripling to 150 million people, it is so important that you have the combined efforts between the public sector, the private sector, and the civil society sector to jointly incorporate in their different systems and organizations the legal framework that is there to follow. But also to make sure that people from all these different sectors can participate in, when you want to change the law or when you want to implement it. And if you take such a field as, the environment, which is pretty much discussed in many parts of Kenya at the moment, as we speak, I mean, people need to understand what, for example, does it mean to have green energy? What does it mean to have a functioning landscape now that we have the drought? What can the counties do to ensure that we have ecosystem services that will continue functioning in the climate change that is here? And that is only one example where people want now to be part of the decisions. They want to be part of the decision making on who is going to use the resources from the carbon credits, for example, who is going to use the resources from the tourist sector that perhaps now Narok and Nakuru are in charge of. So some of these nature reserves or national parks, they are in your counties. Some of the big energy plants are in your counties. Some of the infrastructure programs are in your counties. Of course, people living and being directly dependent on these new infrastructures, for example, or a new road that is built, they want to be part of the decisions on where do want to have the road. Who is going to work in that factory? What is the county doing for those people who might not be able to take part in the labor force because they are disabled or they have another problem? So I think all these things that we have been discussing here today, but also in Lake Navasha, with a combination of the private-public partnerships, engaging the private sector in, because they are the ones that need to implement a lot of the new legislation on sustainability or labor rights, always with human rights perspective, but also people working, they need to know, how do I demand my rights? If I work in a factory or I work in an agricultural business, what are my rights? So I think that we always need the two perspectives. We need the perspective of what is it that the government now has decided, or the legal institutions. What is it that we as citizens need to change in our behavior? Or what can we demand now? Because now we have this legislation which gives me the right to take part in decisions which are important to me in my community. And I think that civil society organizations, and now ForumCiv, being one big civil society organization, can have a great impact in understanding what are the needs of the people, what is it that they need to be trained on to be able to take part, but also what is it that the county governments have need to know, and what are the mechanisms they have to establish at the local level in order to facilitate these processes. And I think it's also important to trickle that back up to government and to the Kenya law people, for example, because if they do a lot of good things and people don't understand what they're doing, people don't understand how to interpret what they're doing, nothing is going to change. And I think what people are interested in Kenya, as in our country, Sweden, is to see that if you have good legislation, which you should have in a democratic country, then you want to implement it, because the implementation will ensure that, for example, on human rights violations or on green energy, any issue or gender, by implementing, you will ensure that more people will be part of the processes, and also people will be better off. And this is also true for the companies. And I know that tomorrow there is a presentation of the National Action Plan for Business and Human Rights, which is also part of this structure. It's spreading the information on what Kenya has decided to do in terms of new investments, that is, to apply human rights within the business sector to ensure sustainability and the rights perspective in the future of Kenya. So I think this cooperation now between ForumCiv and Kenya Law and other partners here, and the counties, of course, has a good opportunity to ensure that more people will also become interested in understanding what are my rights, how do I participate, and what can I require from those in having that decision-making power. So I wish you all good luck, and if you have any questions about how we do it in our country, then you ask Lena, not me. She's the expert. But I think it's interesting that we can share knowledge and experiences between different countries, because then we can learn from you, and you can also learn from some things that we've done good and some things that we could have done better. So thank you so much and good luck. Bye.
Thank you so much for that presentation. Our final speaker in the first segment will be Mr. Chirove. He's representing the Director of International Labour Organization. You're welcome.
Honorable Chief Justice in absentia, Excellencies of the Government, Deputy Governors of Narok and Nakuru, and representatives from the Embassy of Sweden. I'm from ILO. My name is Jelas Chilove. So at least you will remember one thing from what I said, which is my first name. Forget it. We are here as a partner of ForumCiv. Anna Jackson and the whole team that is here from ForumCiv, and also the Embassy of Sweden. In this ENGA program, they used to, it was referred to as the PPDP, but it's really about inclusive growth and decent work within the communities of Narok and Nakuru, and we have our governors, and everyone is talking about yesterday and the day before. We had a lot of fun there in Naivasha. So as ILO, the subject that brings us together here, which is on policy, is really at the core of what we do as an organization, as a specialized agency of the United Nations, in employment and labor issues. Our core mandate is really about coming up with international labor instruments. Some of them we call them conventions, 200 of them, some of them we call them recommendations in the world of work. So we have conventions on education, skills development, and lifelong learning. That's what we call it. We have conventions on health. We normally call it occupational safety and health. And then we have conventions on environment and climate change, youth, and so on. So you can see maybe one of the reasons why we are a partner to this initiative, not just the one that is being signed today, but also the ENGA PPDP program, which is being implemented in Nakuru and Narok County. We were in Naivasha, and part of our discussions is how we can continue the collaboration. And part of the discussions, if we continue in that collaboration, is what can we do more? And we are seeming to agree that we need to do more work on climate change, environment, green jobs, conservation, which is reflected here. We are also going to do more work on policy, which is really the core of what we gathered here for. So this MOU that will be signed today will really help our intervention to make it easy actually for us to achieve the results that we want to achieve. It will make certain roads easier to navigate when we have public policy that responds to the needs of the communities, and that helps the community members to actually get the services that they deserve. And so we have natural synergies that we see within the PPDP program and this MOU that we signed today. So we are very happy to be witnesses on this occasion. So I don't have a long speech, just to say we are happy and we want to congratulate all the partners, and we look forward to more collaboration. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chirove. After those 5 speeches, we will have a short break. During the short break, we will have a performance by Mr. Willie Oeba. He has a presentation titled Poetic Justice. Welcome.
All protocols observed. Ladies and gentlemen, I fear you all. I was told when you have so many dignitaries, you just say, I fear you all. So, are you happy to be here? You're here to be happy. Both. Thank you so much. My name is Willie Oeba, for those who know me. For those who don't know me, my name is still Willie Oeba. And since I am the Chief Justice's favorite poet, this poem is called Poetic Justice. Welcome.
Sheria imekuwa ngumu kwa kufuata, unapoti serikali kauli kukataa. Oh no. Hatukubali haki hapa, sisi sote tunangoja haki hapa, hatuendi mbali. Haki hapa tutaipata pamoja, tutapata haki hapa.
When there is no progress, be still, because words move. If words are not meant to amplify how we feel deep in the inside, then words are meaningless. You see, words are just words until you get to understand how words mean. So focus not what I say, but what I mean. I mean, word is life, but the whole nation is silent. Moments as these are the currency to a time spent. Justice has a true meaning, but in this constitution, I don't know what this government. So truth is, we don't know where the problem is. But the problem is, we don't know what the truth is. Justice isn't just a word. It is a just word. One that comes before the word peace. How they speak, when you have to choose between that and this, it's pretty clear. You wouldn't know how this word feels like until you miss. When the oxygen stops doing you justice, you cease. If the just God is love, then justice is what love thinks it is. Well, call this poetic justice, I will flow with ease. Truth is, truth hurts before it heals. Without justice, freedom is a fallacy. In this era full of deep fakes, only Instagram videos are reals. Let us set historical injustice from the past. Justice doesn't need to feel right, it just needs to feel just. We are not free until we are just at last. Justice is not democracy, not guaranteed to the majority, but also given to the minority when need be. When sometimes given to the majority, that becomes mob justice. Justice is universal and not internal, but when it is, that is injustice. For some weird reason, when I was writing this piece, I thought, maybe no one is sure of the law. Maybe that is why lawyers practice.
Haki hapa, sisi sote tunangoja haki hapa, hatuendi mbali. Haki hapa tutaipata pamoja, tutapata haki hapa.
So kabla death haijanok na struggles za life kuniweka koto, nitabidi tupambane. This is where the truth lies, on this tusidanganyane. Ignorance ni kutumia soprano kwa address mateko issue based. Towards equal my best, mode wangu hakuwa modest. Memory so clear kiniita ng'ombe, sasa inatumia sanaa kujilisha, please iko zero grade. Drama ya life, yet saa zingine voice ya arte fanana na subtitle. Truth ni utalani, trouble, sikipendi kadiri, umefanya sana sana kama huna title. Vitu peti ndo zina trend, tumesahau what it feels like to address the Bible. Immorality na rule kwa nchi, viongozi walikuwa sworn kutukia Bible. Naishi kwa nchi na nisaidia kupostpone my dreams, now the only country I pledge allegiance to ni procrastination. Truth, justice, ile freedom tunaenjoy na depends on justice. Truth is, nilipoweka kuandika piece ya peace, ikabidi niandike kuhusu justice. So talk, Mike, talk. Tell them the inscription 21 on sweatshirts and sneakers isn't just a number, it is a toast to greatness. Let them know that you can dunk the ball higher than the rim is. When you fall, the only thing you're afraid of is gravity, but it doesn't hold you from coming back up. Because if the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X were afraid, maybe they could still be alive. If Rosa Parks was a faint-hearted and just woman, she wouldn't need to seek for her rights.
she would stand like the rest of them did. Now she was treated like a defeated congressman who refused to give up her seat charges, sitting on whatever she should ever stand for, and that's her rights. Now tell the residents of Monterey, Alabama to get in the bus and board this plane of black thought as a moment of silence for the first black woman to lay in state honor at the Capitol Rotunda. Because if this and poetic justice, then I would indeed be to listen to Tablet Kweli. Because this peace is that Vietnam fight that Muhammad Ali refused to fight on grounds. Fighting that man was not boxing the actual sense of injustice. It needed a fight bigger than the four corners of that boxing ring. Yes, this is that Hamilton 36 bullet killer that broke Luther but couldn't contain his dream for vision. So this piece is that 1,000 words that captured the picture Peter Carter couldn't get on the plight of that African boy. So I'm a slave with an empire state of mind which makes me a king to some. The intensity of this piece has made me change my name from Willie, because now we are done.
Thank you so much, Willie. He's not only the Chief Justice's favorite poet, but he comes from the great county of Nakuru. Asante sana. The next session, we are moving to the county session now, and we are very privileged to have the deputy governors of the county of Nakuru and the deputy governor of the county of Narok. We also have with us the county attorneys. We have the county attorney from Nakuru is also the chair of the county attorneys forum. We also have the county attorney from Narok. Then we also have with us the CEO of the County Attorneys Forum, and we also have a representative of the CEO of the Council of Governors, and they will all speak. I'll invite them one after the other. So we'll start first by the remarks by the Deputy Governor of the County of Nakuru, His Excellency Honorable David Honest Kariuki.
In absentia, Chief Justice Master Kome, who is our chief guest, Deputy Governor of County, Honorable Malin H, the CEO Council of Governors meeting, the government printer, Abdi Hassan Ali, the CEO, Editor Kenya Law, Professor Jack Mumali, the county attorneys present from Narok and Nakuru County, led by the chairperson of the County Attorneys Forum, representative of the Attorney General, the head of the section, Kenya Development Corporation, Anika, the other name is some difficult. Now the Secretary General, ForumCiv, and Stanley the Secretary of the Director of Tanzania, Burundi, Kenya, Uganda, Mr. Jerofe. The other name again is more difficult. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Good afternoon once more. Now, I want first, before I read my speech, to bring you greetings from My Excellency Susan Giga, who is the Governor of Nakuru County. She was supposed to be here with you today, but sent me to be with you today. So I'm privileged to join you today as we come together for dialogue on effective policy formulation and publication of policies and laws for the devolved units, which are a decade old this year. The advent of the devolved system of governance in the country, as provided for in the Constitution of Kenya 2010, was underpinned by the need to promote social and economic development, as well as proximity to service provisions to our population. Indeed, the drafters of the Constitution of the Kenya 2010 were convinced that development and effective provision of services at grassroots levels that can transform the lives of the people in villages and urban dwellings can be achieved through devolution. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, this is a timely conversation 10 years after devolution. Counties have been developing various policies and legislative frameworks to guide their implementation. Streamlining policies and lawmaking processes is critical for effectively formulating and implementing laws that promote inclusive growth and development in line with the Constitution. Various assessments have pointed that though there are robust policy and legislative frameworks to facilitate the effective implementation of people-centered programs, there need to be more in formulating and implementing policies. I am convinced that for counties as centers of development and service delivery at the grassroots levels, to effectively deliver on their mandate, there must be a link between the policies and legislations that our counties enact and the outcome arising from the implementation process. There is no doubt that for development and service delivery to impact on the lives of people, we must get it right at the point of formulating policies and legislations. The two twin concepts of policies and legislation must be people-driven and people-centered. It is on this basis that we must have our county assemblies and the county executives working in tandem, complementing each other in their duties of formulation and implementation of the policies and legislation. It is an honor that Nakuru County was elected as one
Villas, and we want to get many things from you. You have to update yourself. If that is an M-Pesa name, then I'll never send you anything. Mr. Chilas Chirope, representative of the director of the International Labour Organization for Tanzania, Burundi, Kenya, Uganda, and Rwanda, along with the ILO delegation, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon. Allow me to proceed directly to the heart of the matter. On behalf of the county government of Narok, it is honor for us to be among the pioneering counties participating in this endeavor to enhance our capacity in the effective formulation and publication of the county policies and legislation. We graciously welcome this opportunity as it naturally complements and empowers one of the fundamental roles of government, namely providing a conducive environment for the socio-economic development of our constituents. Such an environment can only be achieved through the creation of an effective policy and legislative framework. In Narok, we have embraced the policy of robustly engaging the national government, development partners, and civil society in our collective pursuit of the well-being of our people. Therefore, we are wholeheartedly willing to participate in any discourse that enhances our internal capacity to serve the interests of our county more effectively and to involve others whenever feasible. In this regard, we take pride in the fact that 10 years after the advent of devolution, we have made remarkable strides in developing various policies incorporated within our county integrated development plans. Nevertheless, like any other sector, we acknowledge that it has been a learning curve, and with the transition in government from the previous administration to the current one, we have been particularly cautious to ensure the smooth adoption of policies. It is within this context that we warmly embrace the proposition for counties to establish county bill trackers and county legal resource centers, thereby fostering clarity, improved accessibility in the legal and policy-making process, and the integration of meaningful public participation. This harmonizes seamlessly with our county integrated development plan and aligns with the bottom-up economic transformation agenda through digitization. Consequently, it is with immense pleasure that we announce our readiness to serve as a model for this process among the pioneering counties. We eagerly anticipate the implementation of this project and the meticulous adaptation of its methodologies to the realities of government systems and processes, not only for our own people, for our own benefit, but also for the subsequent counties that will learn from our experiences. Our enthusiasm stems from the fact that even at this preliminary stage, the advantages of this project are abundantly clear. For instance, as a relatively new administration, we have first-hand experience of the need for a centralized reference point for inherited policies and legislation that can be passed on to incoming administrations. We have also gained practical understanding of the significance of the adage that the process is as crucial as the product itself. Our limited time in government, it has become evident that public ownership of government policies is as vital as the quality of policies themselves, and that public participation and access to government health information play a critical role in garnering public support for county government programs. We view and look forward to this partnership with Kenya Law and ForumCiv in light of that experience. In particular, we welcome the prospect of further strengthening our capacity to deepen effectively policy and legislative frameworks in critical sectors, starting with education, public participation, health, youth and environment, and climate change. This partnership will also help us scale up the gains we have made in the cross-cutting issues of gender, skills development, and environmental policies. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the county government of Narok stands prepared alongside our esteemed presence to impact on the implementation of this project. We are eager to contribute to its success and make meaningful projects in the realm of effective policy formulation and publication. We extend our gratitude to the organizers, partners, and stakeholders involved in bringing this initiative to fruition. Your unwavering support and collaborations are instrumental in advancing the development and prosperity of our county and the nation as a whole. In conclusion, let us forge ahead with determination, unity, and commitment to excellence. Together, we can enhance the capacity of our county government, empower our citizens, and usher in a brighter future for all. Thank you so much, and God bless you.
Thank you so much, Mwana Governor. Our two final speakers will be the CEO of the County Attorneys Forum and the CEO of the Council of Governors, who will greet us. We'll move to the next. You're welcome. Just to greet us.
Your Excellencies, all protocols observed. My name is Kenneth Nyamwange. I'm the County Attorney for Nakuru. We are not aggressive. I'm the County Attorney for Nakuru. I'm also privileged to chair the County Attorneys Forum. And since our seniors have already spoken, on behalf of our two counties, Nakuru and our immediate neighbor Narok, we will not speak. Thank you very much. We can only assure you that this discussion talk that we have started informally is going to function, and we are very excited. Thank you, and God bless you. My colleague, Mr. Mengat, is the County Attorney for Narok. I'll allow you to say hi, and we'll take our seats.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Your Excellencies, the Deputy Governors from the two counties, Kenya Law representatives, and CIV, ForumCiv, and all protocol observed. As you all heard, my name is Alan Minyati, the County Attorney in Narok. Much has been said, and I wish to confirm that indeed our counties are ready to take lead in matters policy development. We'll be ready to partner. This partnership is indeed coming on time when we need to have an ambiguous legislation that has no issues with the national policies. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Finally, the CEO, Council of Governors, represented by Ms. Irene Ogamba.
Good afternoon, everyone, and all protocols observed. I am not the CEO of the Council of Governors. I am representing the CEO who was not able to make it for this meeting because she got an urgent engagement. We had development partners coming to the office, and we had hoped that this meeting would take place in the morning. However, I have a speech for the CEO, but protocols do not allow me to speak after Excellency Governors unless they permit me to do so. they have permitted me to do so. So thank you. I have had very interesting discussions this afternoon. I happen to have been in a world where we used to deal with human rights. And one of the things that we thrive in is discourse around rights and duties. So when I heard Anika talking about the rights and duties discourse, the rights-based approach to policy, to laws, and to programs, I was actually very excited. And I can tell you, ladies and gentlemen, there's no way community and the people of Kenya who have delegated their sovereignty to us can hold us to account if their capacity is not built. Another thing that excited me this afternoon is when we talked about knowledge management, knowledge sharing, and best practices. That is what we thrive in as a Council of Governors. So allow me then to read the speech of my CEO. It's very brief because we knew that Excellency Governors will be here. But the reason why we say that it's important for us to have this conversation and to read this speech is because we have two counties that are represented here, but as a Council of Governors, we represent all the 47 county governments. So I wish to begin by thanking the Kenya Law Reporting for inviting the Council of Governors to this very important meeting on the proposed partnership between the law, Kenya Law and ForumCiv on the development and application of county policies and legislation under the PPP project. This invite is a recognition and appreciation of the close work relations between the Council and the Kenya Law. Allow me to say that the Kenya Law has been truly supportive of the Council of Governors in the course of carrying out its mandate. Allow me to make special mention of the support given to the Council during the induction of Excellency Governors and Deputy Governors in September 2022, when the editor, Mr. Mumali, ensured that we had the devolution laws that we needed during the induction. So Excellency Governors, the booklet that you received was actually from the Kenya Law. So asante sana. This was done under extreme pressure. He and his team did not sleep and shipped the materials overnight, that is from Nairobi to Mombasa. Further, in February this year, we held an induction to retreat for the county attorney. Once again, the institution supported the meeting without invoicing the Council of Governors. These acts define true partnership, and such support cannot go without a mention. We truly remain grateful. Ladies and gentlemen, capacity gaps in formulating policies and laws continue to negatively impact on the quality of county legislation and policy, and eventually impact on service delivery. There are instances where the county laws have actually been declared unconstitutional. This program, therefore, was designed to address these challenges, among other challenges. I am aware that through this county policy and the ratification of female genital mutilation, among others. I wish to therefore laud ForumCiv for conceptualizing this innovative program and further appreciate the designing of phase 2 of the project, which aims at ensuring effective formulation and application of public policy and legislation in education, public participation, health, youth, environment, and climate action. These indeed are areas of great concern to the county governments, and I request that the theme on social protection is included as it is an emerging issue that is still not clear to county governments. The SUNIT desk, as an institution established to convene the 47 county governors with a specific mandate of providing a forum for consultation among county governments, sharing best practices, discussing issues of common interest to counties, and providing capacity building to governors, it will be remiss of me not to say that the good work reported in Nakuru and Narok counties arising from the partnership needs to be replicated in the other 45 counties. We must agree in this meeting that no county should be left behind with phase 2 of this program. It is also my hope that this program can support the development of the second edition of the Devolution Law Report and the Case Digest, and build on the gains that were made in the first edition, which is between 2010 and 2015, which was a collaborative effort between the Council, the Kenya Law, with the support from UNDP. These materials have proved to be very useful reference materials for legal practitioners and in court matters, and also for the stakeholders in the devolution space who seek to expand their knowledge on devolution. Ladies and gentlemen, we undertake to document the success stories of this program, and will showcase the benefits of Nakuru and Narok counties. I will also urge all of us to visit the Marifa Center, which is our premier knowledge management platform that highlights the successes of the devolution in the various sectors. Lastly, I want to inform all of us that the Devolution Conference 2023 is scheduled to take place in August 19th to August 15 to August 19 will be held in Western Bishop County. The conference theme is 10 years of devolution, the present and the future. While the sub-theme is driving transformation from the local level, county government at the center of economic development. We will seek your partnership and support towards the conference. Finally, I want to conclude by assuring everyone in this forum of the commitment of the Council of Governors in supporting this partnership and ensuring its success. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It was a wonderful presentation. Now we are at the moment we've been waiting for, the signing ceremony. And I wish to invite Madam Janet Mugoki to assist us in that seat. We'll be moving to the table on my right.
Background, please look it up by the gentleman.
Good afternoon, everyone. Are you happy to be here or happy to be here to be happy? Both. Yes, so it's come to the epitome of this ceremony where we want to witness, all of us, to witness the signing of this MOU. And we have before us the principals who will do that. And therefore, as we sign, I believe there will be some background music playing. Would like, after this implementation of this program, to come back again because the witness. Those who practice law know that lazima uone
Isn't it? Yes, so even as they undertake the signing ceremony, then they would like to have you witness and applaud. We had the opportunity to have our Honorable Chair, my lady, the Chief Justice, signing the MOU in the morning, and therefore, if you don't see her at the front, just know she has already done that honorable duty. So we will have both the Secretary General and Mr. Mali signing, and then we will have Jackson. Yes, three signatories. So you can have a seat. I'm told that the bags should be removed. Sign and hand it over. Please, then Mr. Barron for regional manager. Great. So I will invite them to come to the podium so that we can witness having seen the signatures. Just session. Join them as the chairperson is touching the deputy governor, Mr. Green, go to the podium. Miss Annika, Councilor Gatsi, they had a match we will hand over the MOU was signed.
Thank you very much. We cannot take it for granted that you have taken time with us. I know I rushed it for me because some of the things that happened in the fight we did not want it to happen so that we can have that again. So I will invite council members who represent our council to just make a few remarks and leave us. Bring the
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I stand here in several parts. One, I represent the government sector. I'm in charge of the community sector in Plus, and I also see the board of the National Council for some of our council members. Before I give the floor, I can ask that my national executive committees was unable to join us due to our so very quickly, saying that I'm happy and that this is I'm happy for this engagement. Please join with us. Your Excellencies, Deputy Governor for Narok and Nakuru, Asanteni Sana. We do not take it for granted that you made time to come here with us, to be with us, and witness this very, very memorable moment. CEO in absentia, COG, and all other CEOs available, thank you so much for being with us. We want to thank you so much for being with us and having this time with us. Asanteni Sana. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everybody. I cannot speak also at my boss has spoken. I'd like to call upstage the organizing committee. We had an incredible team of organizers from Kenya Law and ForumCiv. Kindly come upstage. Come upstage. Chalimo. Yes, and of course I had my able deputy, Mr. Titus Korea, Edna Masi, Ateka. Who else? Abdul, who is Abdul? Ladies and gentlemen, these are the men and women, or women and men. Which one do we start first?
It's well balanced.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think that's a proper one. Who made this possible? Let's applaud them. The we met every week to organize this, and as the organizing chair, I'm really appreciative, and thank you so much for being able to pull this together. Thank you even for those that have supported us, the wonderful music, and everyone who made this occasion so memorable today. Let's bow down and pray. Dear Lord, we come before you with hearts full of thanksgiving. We thank you for this is the day you made, and we have witnessed the signing of this MOU. Dear Lord, as you usher us in to implement it in the next 36 months, we pray that you will go before us. We thank you, Lord, for our implementing partners and the trust they have been able to give us in trusting that we'll be able to deliver to the people what is very critical to them in terms of the policies and the resulting legislation. We thank you for the counties and the two the governors who have opened their homes to us and asked us to come and experiment this. And we eagerly believe that even as we walk in there, Lord, that we will get all the support, and that together we'll be able to celebrate milestones, Lord, that emulate what is mandated of us to ensure that we have a country that runs and is embedded with laws that can be able to make a change in the lives of our communities. As we live, we have some of us who are traveling. We pray for your journey mercies. We pray, Lord, that even as they get back home, they will remember to say a word of thank you. And for us here who are remaining behind, that dear Lord, similarly, even when we see our loved ones back home, we will not forget to thank you. For we ask this praying and trusting, for this is our prayer in faith. Amen. Amen. Thank you very much. We are adjourned.
Enjoy background music from Lokita Band.
Aí abre o saco. Ah, já bebi, sim.